What's up guys, Carlisle Watch Tables over here. Welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel. If you are returning, if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. You are in for a treat. We are starting a brand new restoration job on this one. Now this one from the hub video would have been Birmingham City, but things have changed. The landscape has moved. We've now got a Birmingham City original, well, classic heavyweight, not original heavyweight. So we've got ourselves a little quandary on our hands. We've got to decide what we're going to paint this into. Spoiler alert, I know what I'm painting it into. You guys are about to find out. This is only the first stage. It's not going to be completed today, but we're going to roll through it. Hopefully it's going to have some helpful tips and hints for you guys. A new process for us, something we've never used before. I'm trying out for the first time. Should be good. Let's roll. So here we go then, the second team we are going to be looking at restoring. Now you'll remember this one from the hub video was originally a Birmingham City. Now I think it was a legitimate Birmingham City when we originally got it, but it didn't have that central stripe down the front of the shirt. Now there are a few examples I believe from Subbuteo where this didn't happen, but I painted a stripe on it in Humbrol white, which is horrendous, by the way. It goes, when it ages as well, Humbrol white, it goes sort of a yellowy colour. It's chalky, it's got grain, it's grainy, it's a disgusting colour. So then what I did was try and recover it by using some acrylic white, which was just adding layers and adding layers and adding layers, and it just wasn't really working. It wasn't giving me the appearance that I wanted, so I decided to strip it as part of the restoration series we're going to do. It was originally going to go back to being a Birmingham, that was the original plan, but since then we have actually obtained a Birmingham City into our collection. So we then needed to think of a new team to paint it as. Now, these being heavyweight teams is a part of my collection. These are teams that I use in my Subbuteo matches, my Subbuteo leagues when I play them. So there was a kit I painted back when I first started Westwood Table Soccer that recently came back through eBay. And it was the Carlisle United kit from 1973 to about 1980. They had different collar types and things, but basically the one I'm going to be doing is at the 73 to 76 with the round neck. It's got the white band down the front outlined in red socks. Really classy, really nice kit, but that's what we're going to do this in. But as you can see in front of you here, there is a lot of blue shadowing still left on some of these figures. Blue can be a very, very tricky colour to get rid of. So within my paint pot we have some of this. Okay, now I bought this originally to be an acrylic white, never used it. It's actually, as you can see, more of a grey because it is a base. It is like a primer. Now I never normally prime stuff, but I want these to come out looking really, really nice. So what I'm going to do, you just go over the shirts and some of the socks with this to prime them up before I put any skin on them, before we make that next motion into the next bit. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got one of the worst offenders for the blue shadowing coming through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this primer base coloured paint. All I need to do, shake it up to start with. Same with all the acrylics, as I said, they're water based, so they should shake pretty easy. If you end up with one that's too thick, just add water. Get this bad boy open, and all I'm going to do is I want to apply a layer of this colour over the top of this blue. I don't want it to be a thick layer. I'm not going full hero mode. I'm not looking to completely remove that blue. I just want to get rid of most of it, so it's a much lighter shadow effect on the figure. Now for the rest of these I won't be covering the whole shirt, but because I'm showing you guys this on camera, I just want you guys to see what it looks like as an overall when it's done. Don't have to be too careful because I've got no skin on this at the moment. I've got no areas where I don't need to miss, so I can be a little bit more gung-ho around the areas that I'm working, but I'm not looking for full coverage. I'm looking for a thin layer. I do not want a thick layer of base coat on this, because what I will end up doing then is taking away the shirt details and adding too much paint, and when I come to add my actual colours, it's going to end up making it look silly, making it look too fat. I'll lose the detailing on the kit, which I don't want to do. So I'm just looking to add a real light layer, nice thin one, just to take away the darkness really out of that blue shade that we've got, so that when we add our white to that middle of the shirt, it's going to give me a lovely finish, a nice clean white finish on here. Well, that's the plan anyway. I've never actually done it, so this is new to me, but I bought this to replace a normal acrylic white and it turned up grey, so I was not happy about it, but I've got it, and actually it might be exactly what I need. So just going to finish this guy's shirt off. I probably will do a little bit on the shorts as well, because obviously the shorts are white, so we want to make sure there's no other colours on them shorts. We are going to have to paint the shorts white just because of the nature of the paint. The socks are red, but again, I'm just going to make sure that we've got a nice, crisp, clean sort of colour to apply that red to, and hopefully that will allow us to get the best quality colour finish. Because these are restoration figures, obviously I don't prime at all for my artwork stuff, because they're all brand new figures, so I don't really see the point. But with this, where I've cleaned these off and there's been shadows and paint residues left behind, it's very, very difficult to get a perfectly clean heavyweight figure. We just need to try just take away that paint shadow away from these figures, and hopefully there, we're going to show you guys on the camera in a minute that we've managed to achieve that finish, and we've got a nice sort of matte finish colour. So here we've got then a couple of these guys finished. Now you can see what we've got here is two guys that we've primed. We've got one here and one here. This guy with no primer, so that's pretty much what they looked like before, with that real sort of blue shadow behind, and that's fine with the areas we're going to do blue, but in this middle central area where we're going to have that white paint, we want that to be as clean as possible. So we are going to prime every single one of these. This guy was a pretty clean figure. He cleaned up really, really nicely. Probably put a little bit of primer on him just in there, and then we've got about another 6 or 7 left to do, and we'll do that in a time lapse. But I just wanted to show you guys the comparison between primed figures here that we've done. As you can see, a little bit there onto the shorts, but it doesn't matter because we are going to paint every single one of these players' shorts brand spanking new white. This guy's primed. He might need another layer, possibly. He had a lot darker colour coming through on him, and we haven't done his socks yet. But what we're going to do, go through the rest of those on time lapse, and then we'll see you when they're done. Okay, so in that last little time-lapse section of the video there, you would have seen me using this. Now, originally when I started doing it, I wasn't planning on getting this out at all because I thought they were fairly clean, but when you start looking at figures and you get sort of into them, you can see little areas that need a little bit of extra paint removing. Well, sometimes happens when you've got a really thick layer of paint. You can really see it, like it builds up a layer effect on the paint, and you can kind of see like 2 different colours. I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. Like if you've got a chest of drawers or anything that's been painted like a million times and you sand it back and you like apply different pressures, you'll see them colours come through at different layers. It kind of looks like that, but what that does do then is fill in them detailing lines. So like we mentioned before in other videos, is that the crease lines in the shirt, so for example with my t-shirt here, these crease lines would get filled up with paint and it just affects the overall finish. So we use this just to scrape away. Didn't want to take any plastic away, just looking to scrape that paint out and just try and dislodge it. It was fairly easy to do when you've only got a little bit of that paint, and you can tell that it's not stained paint, that it's like a physical layer of paint. There's a difference between paint stain and like actual layers of paint that you can see. The paint staining you'll be scraping, and what you'll actually be doing is removing the layer of plastic, which again I don't want to do when it's actually a layer of paint. All you're doing is removing that paint. That's quite a long-winded way of explaining it. Hopefully it makes sense. If it doesn't, you guys can always get in touch and I'll try and explain a little bit better what I'm talking about. But that is why we use this, so we always have one of these around anyway. The only other thing that I use this for, and a couple of them, is like any Subbuteo figures, whether they're old or brand new, sometimes you get ones with extra bits of plastic on. I had a couple that had a few funny bits on the edge of their socks, a few extra little pieces on the shirt, and I thought while I had this out, I'll just trim them off. So that was all that was just me getting rid of the little layers of paint and just trimming off some excess plastic. Here they are then, all primed up and ready to go. As we said before, primer isn't something I usually use, and I don't recommend it as an option to use. However, because I cleaned these figures off and we had a lot of paint staining left behind and I needed that central area to be white, I'm giving it a go. So I'm learning a little bit about primer myself as I'm working with it. I'm pretty confident it's going to work to allow us to get a nice clean white stripe down the front of that shirt. But the first thing we're going to do with these guys, you just get the skin tones on. I'm not going to bore you too much of that. I will literally just show you a time lapse of me painting it. And then we're probably going to leave these guys here for now in terms of what paint we're going to add to them. So let's just run that time lapse of me putting the skin on. Okay, that is the end of this video then. That is the end of this part 1 of this Subbuteo Heavyweight Restoration video. As we said earlier on in the video, we are creating Carlisle United from 1973 to 77. Originally this was going to be Birmingham, but we acquired a Birmingham, so we no longer need a Birmingham. So we're going to use these bases and figures to paint one of the first teams actually I ever painted on a Santiago and sold. There are 2 versions of it out there, one of which is on eBay as I'm recording. I'm pretty sure it's going to come off. And it's going to go for a hell of a lot more money than I sold it for. Not my team, nothing I can do about it now. If it goes to the person I think it's going to go to, it's going to a great home, but if it doesn't, someone else is going to enjoy it as well. But we're going to turn this into the Carlisle from 73 to 77. In today's video you saw us use primer for the first time. As I said, we're just experimenting that for the first time ourselves. Pretty confident it's going to work, it should work. Just need to make sure if we can get the white to look white. I've got no concerns about the blue. The blue will definitely work, the red will definitely cover where it needs to. Again, we've mixed the skin tones up. That is how we do things at Westwood Table Soccer. I like to mix them up. Like I say, I play with these teams, I want them to be as realistic as possible, so we have mixed them up. And now they've got their skin tones on, it's when they really start to come to life as figures, as footballers, as it were. You start to sort of get excited about what it's going to be. When you just got blank figures, you're sort of looking down, you don't really know where to start. But for me, as soon as you put that skin tone on, that kit starts to come to life, especially when the plastic itself is as old as it is. We get to there. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please smash that like button. Let's get this video as many likes as possible. If you are new to the channel, please click subscribe down here in a moment when it arrives. We're going to have a video and a playlist over here for you guys as well. Nothing else for me to say, guys, except until the next one, stay safe.